All right, guys, I want to talk about something that's been kind of in the news a little bit lately, especially with a lot of the games that are coming out right now, as to whether the gaming industry is oversaturated with first-person shooter games. Paul, I want to start with you. What's your, because you're not much on the whole contemporary game, so I'm just curious what your standpoint is.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't play a lot of first-person shooters myself because I really suck at aiming. In every game, I can't snipe, I can't do anything. I just use a shotgun because that's the only thing I could do.
Yeah, that's Laura too.
So for me, yeah, I feel it is very saturated, and but I feel like there's a lot of good first-person shooters coming out with good stories, you know, like Last of Us and all that stuff. But I mean, I feel like it's a very important part of the genre, and if we would say, you know, we need to stop making first-person shooters, I feel like video game sales are going to go down, and you know, like, it could be really bad for the future of gaming.
So just a balance is really necessary.
Yeah, I mean, or just a little bit more creativity, you know?
So, Nigel, you, on the other hand, are kind of an FPS person, aren't you?
A bit, yes. I do. I bought Destiny when it first came out because I was like so excited about that. It was like going to be this open world MMO, space exploration, first person shooter. And first person shooters is like the quintessential aiming because you have the third person shooters that like Dead Space. Dead Space is a third person shooter, but you can't get that real feel of the gun or the aiming mechanics like you can in multiplayer. So that's why more multiplayer, competitive multiplayer is first person shooter because it's more skilled that way, because there are multiplayers for third person, but it seems more to go to the first person because it's more competitive that way. It seems in the AAA industry and everything like that, it seems like they veer more towards the first person aspect of it. But besides that, there has been a lot of FPS lately that are just like AAA titles, but Destiny was a big flop. Freaking Titanfall was a big flop also, and it's just like they just seem to coming out with these first-person shooters, and the only aspect on the concentrating is the multiplayer. And that's the same thing with Destiny and Titanfall. They only concentrate on the multiplayer because they're like, oh, this is all we really need to care about. We don't need to care about story or anything else besides that. And it's just like, why? Like, if you make a $60 game, then you need to concentrate on all aspects instead of just focusing like, okay, if it's a first-person shooter, then we only need to concentrate on these things, like the gameplay and how it looks, basically. That's the only things they really concentrate on, the two of them. And it's really sad, really, that they only concentrate on those two things.
I definitely agree there's like a really huge saturation. And I think it's a lack of creativity, to be honest. I mean, these people are making a lot of money off first-person shooters. Companies like the people that are making Call of Duty and everything, they're making a ridiculous amount of money, and people are just kind of following in their footsteps, it seems like. I'm someone who's all about like interesting quests and stuff. I don't really like shooting games. I'm not really into like one-on-one shooting, any types of games like that. And I like a lot of games where you get to play with your friends, but I'm not into war games or anything like that. And to see so many different companies coming in and trying to make money on that and concentrate on those types of games rather than developing different, new, interesting types of games that are not shooting games. It's disappointing to me, but I understand why they're doing it. I understand why the market is pushed so much in that direction.
So what about like the first-person games that are not FPS? So games like PT or Mirror's Edge or Portal or what was the other one I had? There was another one. Like even something like Minecraft or BioShock isn't even necessarily an FPS. So are games like that, how do they stack up in the industry?
In the industry, PT, basically, it's first person for more aspect of the horror, because third person, like Dead Space, you get the scares because you can see them approach from behind you, but first person gets you more engrossed with the new technology and everything with the, what's the visual thing?
Oculus Rift.
Oculus Rift, yes, that also gets you more in depth with the first person because it's like your eyes, like you're actually seeing like really like what's going on, and that helps with the horror aspect with PT. And other games that they want to go in that direction with the game. Like, is it better in third person or is it better in first person? And they make that decision probably really early on when they're developing the game. If, like for BioShock, like they had all the other BioShocks first person, so they were probably going to do that one in first person also. It just depends on what the gameplay is.
I'd really like to see more first person shooter games. but that aren't really necessarily about like, you know, just like wars and all that stuff. Like, I really like first-person shooters where they use a lot of puzzles. And I think it'd be really cool if we did something in the style of a first-person shooter, but maybe like you have a gun, but like, I don't know, it's like more of like an atmospheric game or something.
So something that is more along the lines of Portal.
Yeah.
Essentially, you just want
Everyone just really wants more Portal.
Yeah.
Basically is what he's trying to say, and I think we can all kind of agree on that.
Yeah. I would
think-
love more Portal.
Yeah, I feel like people don't take games that don't fit that whole first-person shooter situation. They don't take them as seriously, almost. Like if you only have a limited amount of money, which a lot of people who play video games only have a limited amount of money, they're gonna go for that first-person shooter that's coming out. That's the serious game coming out. Games like Minecraft, people don't take that seriously. I mean, that's how I feel about it. I mean, I love Minecraft. I will play Minecraft forever.
I think the Minecraft following, I've almost compared it to Bronies, which I don't think was fair at all.
That's not.
But there are some people, like, it's not that I've never played it, but it's not that I don't take it seriously. But I see it as kind of, it's a very fun game. It's like meant to be fun. It's meant to make you think, as opposed to games like FPS games, excuse me, like Killzone or Rainbow Six that are much more serious. And then you do have some FPS games like Team Fortress that are very, very out there, or Bulletstorm, which is ridiculously out there. But like you guys had mentioned, the majority of them are those AAA titles like Battlefield, Call of Duty, and those are the ones that everyone's just... So would you say that third-person shooters are better? Not like necessarily gameplay-wise, but like taken seriously and story-wise, do they tend to be a little bit better in comparison to the first-person shooters?
I can't really use the word better, but because I don't really play multiplayer, and I know, you know, a lot of third-person shooters don't have as strong as a multiplayer community as the first-person shooter communities like Call of Duty and Battlefield and all that stuff. But I think, yeah, for some reason it seems that all these third-person games they spend more time on the single-player missions and the story, and I don't know. I feel like I do not know why the first-person shooter genre is like the king, you know.
So Laura, you're more of a third-person gaming kind of person, right?
Yeah, that's just my preference, though. I mean, I'm not a big shooting game person to begin with, so I'm much more into the side of the third-person games than any type of first-person shooters. But I have friends that are like completely invested in those first-person shooters and first-person games. So it's really up to your personal preference, I think, really, and just what you're invested in.
Nigel, you mentioned earlier when we were talking something about like the difference between games that might have the same features. Yeah. Like something, I think you mentioned like Dishonored or even something else.
Dishonored and Assassin's Creed. Both Assassin games you play as Assassin, you traverse walls and you have like these ultra superpowers in like Dishonored that helps you around. In Assassin's Creed you don't really get that unless you count like diving off into a bale of hay and surviving that. But basically it's the same kind of game. You're Assassin, you go around and killing people, a lot of people, and it's like one is first person and it's a totally different gameplay than the third person in Assassin's Creed. It's the same like basic like substance. You're an assassin, you climb around, you kill people, but they're completely two different games because of the first person aspect and the third person aspect.
Or even something like Mirror's Edge compared to Assassin's Creed.
Yeah.
With less killing. So should gaming companies design games that allow you to switch between third person and first person?
Yeah, I mean, because I think in, like when I played Skyrim, for example, you could do that, or, you know, I think you could do it in Oblivion, I don't remember. But I found myself using, you know, first person when I battled, and then I would go back into third person when I was just, you know, trying to find stuff or like pick plants or whatever. But yeah, I really like that feature because I feel like the third person and the first person, they each have like different functionality, you know, and I really like switching between the two.
With the ability to develop those kind of games, I think it's important to actually do that. I mean, you're gonna have players who are much more comfortable in one setting than the other just because of the games that they already played before this game that you might be developing. So I think it's actually a really good idea to allow that and make it just an option now that they're capable of developing it, which I know they all are.
when Skyrim Online was coming out, and they're like, oh, we're only gonna make it third person. All the fans were like, no, we want the first person too, because as you were saying, like they were comfortable with either or. Because like with me, when I was playing Skyrim, when it was like a tough battle, I needed to see like the land hits on an enemy. I would switch to the first person because I could easily aim like my mace or my crossbow, and then like I would do in the third person to explore the world, see this like the scenery, see around me, see what's going on, because Skyrim is just beautiful to look at half the time.
And also you get to, collect so much cool armor and stuff. Like, don't you want to see that
Yeah, don't
sometimes?
you wanna see that?
You just want to be like,
Well,
yeah.
that's one thing that's always annoyed me with certain games is like with Far Cry, for example, Far Cry 3. Throughout the game you're getting this tattoo, but you never really see it. And some of these games have such good character animations for non-players, like first-person games. You do get games like Battlefield or Call of Duty where the animations are so generic that it wouldn't look very good in third person unless they made it that specifically. But I think if more games followed that thing that Skyrim does, where you can switch, even if it was something like Assassin's Creed, where you can switch from first to third. But would you say that there are too many first-person games, or just not enough recognition of the many third-person and not first-person games that exist?
Well, there's a lot of first-person shooter in like the mainstream, because when you watch commercials on TV, they're usually of the AAA games just coming out or that have come out. But then you go on Steam and you look up all these other games, all these indie games that come out, and like hardly any of them are FPSs. They're all like strategy-based or all these puzzle games, and there's a lot of indie games out there. They're just like independent developers, and they're passionate about what they make, and they're not FPSs because they're not interested in making FPSs, because it seems like there's too many. Like there's new freaking Call of Duty every year. There's a new Battlefield every year, and it's just like it's repetitive. Like, oh, we're just gonna perfect contrast. There's Modern Warfare 3, the Modern Warfare 4, and it's just like they really just like tweaked it a little bit and then set it out there. There was no real new features or new anything. There was a different campaign, but the campaign was horrible, and it's just like there was nothing really changed. Well, like indie people will like develop these new games. Like Five Nights at Freddy just came out, and that's a first person game. And it's terrifying to play. And it's new. You're in first person, but you can't move, and you're just in this box, and you have to fend off these mechanical monsters coming at you. And it's new, it's inventive, and it's a first person game. And it's terrifying to play.
So what about games like, Laura, you really like, is it you that really likes Limbo?
Oh yeah, I'm totally obsessed with Limbo. It's one of my favorite games.
Clearly not an FPS game.
Yeah. Okay, I think that the reason that we think there's so many FPS games and not enough of the other games is because people are not only investing a lot of money in their development, but also in their marketing. So we don't see a lot of these interesting, artsy, creative, third-person types of games. Like, Limbo was beautiful to play and interact with and really made you think, but most of my friends had never even heard about it, like never had any clue what it was, never even thought to play it even after they noticed what it was. So I would like for people to invest more in these interesting third-person games, but I know that it's not necessarily going to happen unless the market can find a way to make money off of it, which, yeah.
I mean, so I feel like, that you can only have one or the other. You can only have third person or first person. So it maybe just feels like there's so many first person games because what else are you gonna do? You know what I mean?
I think, well, no, I kind of get that.
Well,
I mean,
there's the strategy-based games
like
Total War, where you're like this floating camera up in the air and you control the
like
massive
Civilization,
army. Yeah, Civilization,
or Dota or something.
Yeah,
like that.
But
some of
people
that.
play the first-person games to, see the game through their own eyes, and it's like an escape from reality kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Which is weird because you'd escape from reality by entering another reality. I don't.
That you shoot people.
That's
just
yeah, where you kill people. That's great reality.
I know, but it's fun, right?
Yes, actually it is. I mean, for me, third-person games for me are always just as good, usually, generally speaking. First-person games, like some of the ones I have up here right now, Brink and Homefront, they're decent. They're good. They're entertaining for like the first time you play it, and then it's like, okay, whatever. But I've played the Assassin's Creed series countless times. I've played virtually every single Grand Theft Auto game. I am in love with this game called Dust right now. I got it for the 360, and I also have it for the PS4. Some of the side-scrolling games are just, people think that they're overdone, but I think that they're one thing that is not an FPS, but everyone thinks that an FPS game just has to be the best thing.
The best game I've played like recently was The Last of Us, and that was a third-person survival horror game. And that is the best game so far that has come out in recent. And that is third person, and then like I thought Destiny was gonna top that, but then it just completely just yeah.
There was that.
Yeah, there is that. Disappointment.
Why isn't there any first-person children's games? Why isn't there Dora the Explorer?
Yeah, really.
Shooting.
Or why can't
shoot
you
up.
do you control like if they had a door where you controlled the mouse or something? Like where's the bridge? Like click.
No, there was an indie game where it was developed by a Norwegian company where you were this child and you were walking around the home.
That's why.
Yeah.
They're weird. They do stuff like
Wait,
that.
it wasn't a horror game,
It's
was
a horror
it?
game. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're walking around
course,
this little
that's
child.
why.
Yeah.
Was it
Norway
first
does
person?
that. Norway
Yeah.
does that.
Norway
stuff.
first person, you're this little child, and you walk around the house and all this like scary stuff starts to happen.
See,
Black metal's playing in the
That's
background.
not made for like kids though, right? I mean,
No.
you're playing a child, but
No, it's
that's
just
different than a children's game.
Yeah, it's different.
You
it's different
play a
than
child in Last of Us. So,
I'm just there's a difference between where you're playing
no,
a child.
I
and,
agree.
like-
I think if they were to,
Child's
if they
game,
were
yeah.
to go beyond the general, because when people think first-person games, if you even go on Google, and I did this, if you go on Google and look first-person games, they're all, and I'm gonna read my list real quick of the first-person games I got when I Googled. There was Counter-Strike, Halo, Team Fortress, Blacklight, Killzone, Call of Duty, Half-Life, Payday, Brink, Far Cry, Wolfenstein, Crisis, Warframe. Like they are all FPS games. I wish they would do a Dora the Explorer first-person game. I would
I'd be
buy
really
that in a
invested.
heartbeat.
I'd be very invested in that.
I would reserve the deluxe edition of it. I would absolutely buy the
Deluxe.
the
Deluxe.
deluxe
What would
Dora.
be deluxe?
I want to get like a little boot stall to like
pack.
sit on
Yeah,
here
get the
next
map
to
pack.
the map pack.
Yeah,
yes.
get the map pack.
Sing a song.
Yeah, get
It's
the
not
map
the
pack.
map pack, it's the backpack and the map. Dude, don't
But
get
it
me
would be the
started.
map pack combined. That's how amazing this game would be.
But no, I completely see where you're coming from. And I understand why they're developing so many types of fighting games. Again, back to like they're making money off of it. They can get a lot of people to buy a shooting game. Someone sees a shooting game, they're like, I know how to play shooting games. I've been playing Call of Duty how many years now? I know how to play this game. I know how to play this game.
Qualified. You're so qualified.
Yeah, like I'm good. I got this. They don't want to get invested in a different type of story, and I understand a lot of people just want to shoot things, but obviously, like that's not the kind of game I want. So.
Though it's kind of hard to think of any first-person game where you don't shoot something, kill it, or something like first-person Tetris. That just, that wouldn't work.
First-person Pong. Space Invaders.
Wait, no, first-person Pong. That'd be really cool. You could like
Move up and down.
Yeah, you could,
watch
like,
a ball
carry-
come at your face.
You just carry a piece of wood, and then like some guy throws a baseball at you, and I don't know.
PT, you don't kill anyone, you get killed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
You
a
killed a
different
lot.
thing though. Oh, no. Scary.
After the Pong thing and the Dora the Explorer, I'm just about out. I think.
Obviously, we can't be taken seriously as
No.
gamers.
No.
We're really
I didn't
excited
agree with the
about
door.
this.
I think playing a swiper and trying to get at door would be more fun.
Dude, now you're turning it into a horror game with
Yeah.
swipers coming after you.
Yeah, exactly.
You never know.
Swiper, no swiping. Ah! Exactly.